The Note 20 Ultra is the new gem in Samsung's Note lineup, and with everything new there is a lingering question. Should you spend that $1,300 and upgrade from last year's Note 10 Plus? Compared to last year's Note 10 Plus, the answer is not a definitive yes, so let's explore and break down the differences. First, from a design standpoint, the Note 20 Ultra is an evolution rather than a complete overhaul. The Note 10 Plus was definitely a much flashier design, with a glossy glass back and expressive color option, especially this Aura Glow version here. While the Note 20 Ultra in its bronze color here that looks pinkish in real life is a more laid-back design, especially with that frosted glass finish, which is a bit subdued. Now, both the Note 10 Plus and the Note 20 Ultra have displays that are curved just very slightly, not quite as much as on earlier Samsung phones. Now, they're not flat screens, but the curve is not too noticeable. And in terms of purely just size, the new Note is just a bit taller and a bit heavier. But the difference is that camera hump on the back, which feels just like someone stuck a giant piece of Lego to the back of the Note 20 Ultra. Now, the difference between the two is not huge, but it is there, and both are extra large phones, that's for sure. And then button placement has also changed. While last year's Note had its buttons on the left, the Note 20 Ultra this year has them on the right hand side, which is definitely more convenient for most people who are right-handed. The S Pen has also changed places and is not on the left side as last year. And both phones also support IP68 water protection rating, so they should survive the accidental drop in water. And nope, neither of the two has a headphone jack, but you should know that the Note 20 Ultra doesn't even have any headphones in the box, at least the US version. Okay, next up, the screens. At 6.9 inches on the Note 20 Ultra and 6.8 inches on the Note 10 Plus, the difference is so tiny, just in terms of size, you probably won't notice it. Both are AMOLED screens with premium characteristics. Colors are rich and viewing angles are just excellent. The newer Note 20 Ultra has a slightly higher peak brightness, so it's a bit easier to use outdoors under the sun. The big difference, however, goes by the name 120 Hz. This is the new default refresh rate on the Note 20 Ultra, and it's double the 60 Hz refresh rate you have on the Note 10 Plus. This is clearly the most noticeable difference between the two. After using the new Note for a while, and then if you pick up the old Note 10 Plus, now it almost looks slow, the older one, and a bit choppy. The new Note appears just so much smoother, more responsive, and overall faster. In the US market, the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra is powered by the latest and greatest Qualcomm chipset, the Snapdragon 865 Plus. And the Plus here delivers a 10% improvement over the normal Snapdragon 865 processor. The Note 10 Plus, on the other hand, runs on last year's Snapdragon processor, but I wouldn't say that it feels slow. In fact, both are plenty fast in daily use. Both phones also have 12 GB of RAM, more than most other phones out there, and this allows many apps to run in the background and makes it easy to multitask without apps reloading. The Note 20 Ultra is also a 5G device, while the regular Note 10 Plus was not, and there was a special variant of that phone with 5G connectivity, but it cost extra money. Now, interestingly, the older Note 10 Plus comes with 256 GB of onboard storage, while the newer Note 20 Ultra only has half of that, at 128 GB of native storage. That's just a strange backwards decision on Samsung's part. Samsung this year tries to upsell power users to the 512 GB Note 20 Ultra, but that model costs nearly $1,500. So that's a bit of a backwards move. Now, then the Note 20 Ultra trumps the Note 10 Plus in another key area, battery size. With a 4500 mAh battery, the newer Note holds the promise for a longer battery life when compared with the Note 10 Plus, which has a 4300 mAh battery. Now, in real life, both phones are a one-day battery life affair, meaning you have to charge them every night. After using them for a while, however, we noticed that the Note 10 Plus lasts a bit longer despite its smaller battery. The reason for that is probably that it runs at 60 Hz, while the Note 20 Ultra by default runs at that faster 120 Hz refresh rate, which takes a toll on battery life. You can see the battery life scores for both of these phones right here. We have the web browsing, the YouTube video playback, and the 3D gaming tests. Both phones also ship with the same 25-watt fast charger in the box. It takes just a bit over an hour to fully charge up the batteries on both phones. Now interestingly, again, the older Note 10 Plus also supports Samsung's 45-watt super fast charger, while the newer Note does not support that fast charger and is only limited to those 25-watt charging rates. Again, another strange backwards decision by Samsung. Okay, we haven't talked about the S Pen yet, but it has received one of the biggest upgrades ever, and it's not just about the positioning. Now, it looks the same as before. It's plastic, it's tucked inside the phone, it has a single button on it and removable tips, so no change in the appearance. However, the latency is now nearly 4 times faster. It's just 9 milliseconds on the Note 20 Ultra versus 42 milliseconds on the Note 10 Plus. And that's super nice if you're an artist who uses the S Pen a lot, if you're a creative person who draws on their phone, etc. If you're just a casual user writing down notes every once in a while, well, that difference, that upgrade is nice, but definitely not a game changer. You probably won't notice it all that much. Then the Note 20 Ultra also has a few cool new features. It supports the new air gestures that allow you to control the device from afar, much like a magician. You can flick through photos in the gallery or change songs in Spotify. But to be honest, those gestures were finicky and barely worked. They seemed like a bit of a gimmick. Now, what is also cool on the new Note is wireless DeX. If you have a new Samsung TV, you can wirelessly mirror your Note screen to the big TV screen, and while the older Note 10 Plus required a cable to pull the very same trick. Next up, let's also talk cameras. Now just take a second to digest that difference in the size of that camera hump. It's big. The Note 20 Ultra has a 108 megapixel main camera versus a 12 megapixel shooter on the 10 Plus. Both have a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera. And finally, you have a super long range zoom 5 times zoom camera on the Ultra versus a regular 2 times zoom camera on the Note 10 Plus. And for selfies, both phones come with 10 megapixel camera in a punch hole design. Okay, what about the images? Now, images from the new Note 20 Ultra have much more vibrant colors out of the box and are just ready to share on social media. The Note 10 Plus, on the other hand, has bleaker colors that might be more realistic, but don't look quite that punchy and that impressive. Both cameras are excellent, but I would say that most people would prefer those flashier images from the Note 20 Ultra. The zoom is a big deal on the Note 20 Ultra. You can zoom up to 50 times, which can be just very creepy, but in some scenarios also extremely cool. Now, last year's Note 10 Plus cannot do that, but its 2 times zoom camera is actually quite useful. It is used for the live focus mode. So if you take portrait pictures of people, the Note 10 Plus actually has much sharper detail and images look better. At night, the newer Note 20 Ultra is the better phone. It shoots faster, it has an automatic night mode via the scene optimizer, and images are usually brighter, have more exposure and more detail. And on the video side, the Note 20 Ultra is capable of shooting 8K video at 24 FPS, an option missing on the Note 10 Plus, which maxes out at 4K. Now, we definitely wouldn't shoot 8K video every day, but if you happen to visit a special place, definitely go for it. You will be blown away with the amount of detail. Okay, last but not least, those loudspeakers just sound so much better on the new Note 20 Ultra. Whether you play music or watch videos on your phone, sound via the loudspeakers is a lot boomier and has a lot more bass, depth, definition on the new Note, while on the Note 10 Plus the speakers sound a bit weak and there's just no definition in the lower tonalities. So with all of that, it's time to draw the proverbial line in the sand. After using the two phones for quite a while, the biggest game changer for me personally is that 120 Hz refresh rate on the new Note 20 Ultra. that just makes everything smoother and faster, and that's the biggest reason why I personally would upgrade. The screen is also a bit brighter, a bit better, the camera gives you the ability to zoom far and away, and the loudspeakers are much better. But that's about it. Battery life is actually about the same or even a bit better on the Note 10 Plus. The Note 10 Plus also comes with actually double the storage compared to the newer phone. Charging speeds haven't improved on the new Note. The software is almost exactly the same. And if you actually shoot a lot of portraits of people, the 2x zoom camera on the older Note delivers better results. So overall, I would say that the newer Note is overall a bit nicer, a bit better refined. If you just want the very best, go and get it. You won't regret it. But if you're on the fence, not ready with a decision, and if you already own a Note 10 Plus, well, you're not missing out on all that much. So that's it for this comparison. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it, subs for more. My name is Vic, this is PhoneArena, and I'll see you in the next one.